In the late 22nd century, humanity is beginning to colonize space. Before colony ships arrive, habitation vessels are appointed terraforming missions. The Aurora was one such vessel. During its descent, the Aurora was struck by a mysterious energy pulse, resulting in catastrophic hull failure. A single life pod jettisoned prior to impact. You were in that life pod.
Hey everybody, welcome to Subnautica. Sorry about that grunt in the beginning, I was stretching. This is going to be a survival let's play, and it's going to be a decent one, I hope. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you the basics of survival and the how to basically start the beginning as efficiently as you can. It might be a little fast for you, I don't know, I apologize for that, but this is just how I normally play. This is my first ever YouTube video and also the first episode in the Let's Play, so if you enjoy this, I hope you do anyway. Yeah. This is the December 2015 build. This is the end of the year for me, pretty much. And also the start of my YouTubing career, so good luck for me.
Emergency. 10 seconds of oxygen remaining.
Now, in this game, when it comes to survival, you need to maintain the four aspects of any human life itself. You need to keep your air supply up, you need to keep yourself fed, you need to keep yourself healthy, and also you need to keep yourself hydrated. Obviously, with being in the middle of the ocean, hydration is a little harder, but luckily, some of the local one of the local fauna knows an air sac can be used to supply you with water, as it says in the crafting recipes. The device I was just interacting with is a fabricator. It's your main crafting table, and it also, well, yeah, it's your main crafting table. It allows you to craft and pretty much cook and do anything you need. Acid mushrooms, you're going to need at least 3 of them per craft of the resources mainly used for, known as batteries. Yeah, something so basic needs, shrooms. Okay, so here's kind of the situation that's going on. The Aurora, which is the crashed ship out in the distance, if you look at the surface, oh geez.
Emergency. 10 seconds of oxygen remaining.
Yeah, the Aurora, which is off in the distance that way, I believe that is west, is a little broken. And I mean, not just as in like, oh, it has a few dings in the paint and has some holes in the chassis. No, it's not like that. It is broken as in like, its engine's about to break. Oh jeez. Okay, so the Aurora, when it breaks, it's gonna go big. And we don't want to be exposed when that happens. So what I'm kind of mad rushing for is the radiation
10
suit.
seconds of oxygen remaining.
The radiation suit will allow us to protect ourselves from the radiation that's going to be leaking from the Aurora. And as a matter of fact, if you head towards the Aurora, you will actually become exposed to the said radiation a little prematurely, and you'll start taking damage, and it kind of will kill you rather fast. It's not like in Fallout where the more rads you're exposed to, the less maximum health you have. No, this is just as in like, the more you're exposed to it, the faster you die. That's all I can really say in a nutshell. Let's see. Our situation is not the best in the world. I mean, we're in a life pod, it's a little smoky. Luckily, the Aurora's crash gave us a lot of scrap metal nearby, and also there are plenty of deposits of quartz on the surface. And that'll allow us to craft some oxygen tanks and glass and all that stuff. You'll want to at first create at least 2 oxygen tanks to give you a decent amount of time underwater. Also, if you want to stay underwater for longer, say you found a good place to collect some ore, but it's a little deep and you won't have enough time to go all the way to the surface, pretty much that'll allow you to get oxygen a little early. I'm not sure if I've missed anything so far, I don't know. When it comes to biomes, I guess is what we're going to be doing. This is the reef biome. This is the starting area. You'll always start here no matter what. You'll just start in a random location throughout the biome. It's pretty much the safest place in the game. There is no real active threat until the radiation starts coming in, and that's about it. Okay, this little safe here. You want to make sure you find these everywhere, not just this biome, but anywhere. You only need one of each, though, of a certain type. So, example, I got a sea moth fragment. This will allow us to make the most basic submarine and a very good way of transporting ourselves around the sea moth. Well, yeah. The sea moth is a small submarine. It's almost like a, I guess, a fighter craft of subs. It doesn't have the way in, it's a little energy inefficient at first, but we can do something about that later. Mostly what it's going to be used for is, just getting around to certain places and allowing us to go to deeper areas and locating certain things. And we're gonna need to obviously power it. Okay, tip here. If you want to swim faster, make sure you don't have anything equipped. Holding fish will actually slow you down. Ain't that just a fishy thing? My puns are bad. I know. I'm sorry. I guess you'll have to live with them if you're going to be watching me. Sorry about the creaking, by the way, if you hear it. Okay, so our main objective after allocating some basic supplies and getting ourselves a little more fed, you want to start locating quartz to get yourself both a knife.
The Aurora. Oh. Zero life signs detected. Lethal radiation levels detected. The main drive core has malfunctioned. The primary dark matter containment field has dropped to 36% amplitude. Continuing to monitor.
Alright, yeah. Pretty much what that what computer said is pretty much the Aurora. There's no one left alive. You're the last survivor of the crash. No one knows exactly what happened, though. No, you don't know exactly what caused the Aurora to crash. But either way, if it was military aggression or some weird space whale crashing into us, either way, we need to survive, and that's all about it. Okay. So, once you get yourself a basic setup of gear, you want to start locating this, the drop-offs in the reef. You want to locate the red grasses at the lower levels of or lower depths. The reason for this is because within the red grasses is sandstone, and that's where you're going to need to locate a specific resource, silver. When you combine silver and copper, you can forge a kind of makeshift lead, if it were. This will allow us to protect ourselves from the so-called lethal radiation that the Aurora is dispensing like a water fountain. And already we have our first predator species right there that I'm actually going to address. These are actually I don't even know what they're called, but I just call them sand stalkers. These guys typically stick to the sea floor, but I guess they're a little hungry right now, so they're going a little more higher up. They have the ability to burrow under the sand and wait for prey. They typically won't attack you, they'll go after prey fish. I say that, and this thing looks like it's actually after me. They're a little creepy. Oh, see, yeah. Burrowed right under the rock. They will burrow and then stay still, so you gotta be careful, especially when they just appear out of nowhere like that.
Warning, 30 seconds of oxygen remaining.
Those red smaller fish that you just saw a second ago, those are essentially piranhas. They will nip at you constantly and they will pursue you. The 4 predator species around this main area are fairly dangerous.
10 seconds of oxygen remaining.
But they guard the more valuable resources you're going to need to survive and make sure your game's longer than a tiny bit. And also makes it to where you don't have to hug the reef. You're going to need to locate sandstone, and unfortunately the more scarier fish are near the more valuable resources. Don't even get me started with some of the other predators that you're going to encounter. Nearby the red grass biome that we're here now is the stalker. The stalker, which is the alternate predators which are in these kelp vine forests. They're not too happy with anyone that wants to steal their shiny things. In short, they're pretty much alligator-like dolphins. You see, there's one, matter of fact. Also, the music just cough. They like anything shiny. They like scrap metal for some reason, and they begin immediately hoarding it. And matter of fact, multiple stalkers just start stealing from each other. It's just an endless loop of stalkers nipping each other's scrap metal from each other. It's kind of interesting, but there's a reason to it. Sand stalkers, those piranha-like things, and also parasites live within the farther biomes, but essentially it's very safe here. The only threat are crashes, which reside within the caves. Crashes, as I said, they're the only predator here. They're not an active hunter, per se. They wait for their prey to get close. What I mean by that is they're small growth-like pods along cave walls, and if you get too close to these said cave pods in the caves, they will begin to get really upset about you being there. And the pods generate small creatures known as, well, the crashes themselves. When the crashes get irritated, they begin to swim. And when they get to swim, they'll typically start swimming straight towards you. This is bad because the crashes are loaded with magnesium, a very volatile substance that is very easy to spark. That's useful in some forms, but when you think about it in the factors of, oh wait, these things are ticking time bombs swimming towards me at a very decent speed, you get to worry about the factors of death. Crashes do probably the most immediate damage to you of all creatures, next to the, yeah, they do the most immediate damage next up in line with, yes, immediately after some of the bigger fish. Eventually from the largest of the largest predator species, the Reaper Leviathan. Those creatures are nasty. Limestone here. There's no real, limestone is just, chunks of dead fish, and it makes sense that this is here. It's the calcium within the rock. Those magma vents actually have a use to them, by the way. It's not... Ow. It's not just fiery death traps. There are typically diamonds around the rims of these magma vents, but you're going to need to be a little more careful when you're nearby them, as obviously, as you saw this there, I just got burned.
Emergency. 10 seconds of oxygen remaining.
Death is not much of an issue in this game. If you die, whatever was not secured in your inventory will be lost, but you'll respawn in this life pod. When it comes to... Also, this thing never has anything in it, sadly. When it comes to... Let's see, we have diamonds already. If I keep... No, you keep interrupting myself. When it comes to resources, at this level, we're mostly going to find limestone outcroppings that yield titanium and copper. Copper, both of which are necessary, but titanium is more abundant due to the amount of scrap metal you can find, which each piece gives you 4 scrap metal. That was a stalker. They don't like it when people have shiny things on them. Ouch. Yeah, see that one stalker did like a little more than 25 damage. Now, if you try and fight off the predators, they will scurry off if you damage them. As you saw right there, that stalker pretty much booked it as soon as I started resisting against it. The knife, by the way, it is not really meant as a viable weapon. Yes, it can scare off stalkers and other predators. It's not really meant to kill things, though. It's more of a deterrent and also a scavenging tool. It can be used to kill it can be used to kill small fish. It can be used to destroy crash dens. That's all about, I recommend, and also staving off predators. But when it comes to weapons purposes, that's pretty much it. It's not a viable weapon at all. Now, when it comes to... There's a lot of quartz down there. I think I'll take it. The other utilities in the knife, though, are for gathering coral chunks of both the this coral right here, which is loaded with opals, and also normal grayish coral over there, and also the larger coral tubes. These are mainly used for allocating... Yeah, they're mostly used for allocating coral chunks, which can then be used for both making computer chips And also, if I'm correct, yeah, they can also use to make bleach. And bleach is a survival resource that you're going to need a decent amount of if you want to keep yourself alive, both in keeping yourself hydrated, if you can't find any air sacs, and also it helps you keep you healed up. But provided you need salt deposits. We already have one of which. Okay, when it comes to exploring, you want to be careful.
Readings from the Aurora suggest erratic fluctuations in the primary dark matter containment field. A breach of the main drive chamber may cause a cascading quantum flux detonation.
Yeah, detonation and all. Yeah, you want to be careful about that. Now, I have no clue where we are. Also, that is a gas whale, as I'm dubbing it. Gas whales, if you get too close to them, they'll produce poisonous pods, which will then damage you. Yeah, so be wary. Oh, see, Stalker carrying scrap metal. They'll always take it back to a certain point. I think it's where their spawn point is, to be honest. And they'll pretty much ignore you while they have scrap. Oh, see what just happened there? The Stalker's teeth are almost like shark teeth. They constantly fall out. And the Stalker's teeth is rich in enamel. Now, when you think about that, it's essentially useless unless you think about the fact of what enamel can do for us. When processed right, enamel can be used as a hardening compound. It's useful for hardening glass into a tougher material, and that's pretty much it. When you think about it, though, when you combine that with some toughened glass, you can withstand deeper pressures. And I'm babbling here, apparently. But yeah, you can go deeper underwater if you have some enamel glass. And music cut out again for some reason. I might be swimming in circles, I have no clue. All I know is I need to find silver. And I might need to swim out farther. Wait, I see her. Yeah, I see some rock chunks down there. Alright, there's the silver ore we need. Now, each of the fish in this game, from spawn, have different nutritional values. Boomerang fish are not the most nutritious, but, yeah, go big or go home, or I guess go little and go home. The spade fish, which are down at the red grass depth, though, those have a more viable feeding supply. They're more nutritious when cooked, but obviously they're a little farther down, and when you think about it, depth is not the best thing, or most accessible thing at the moment. Peepers at this immediate moment are your best bet. If you don't want to, when it comes to risk versus reward, it's pretty decent. There's not much risk to catching peepers, and the reward's pretty decent. Let's see. If also if my commentary is a little boring, I do apologize. I mean, like I said, new to all this stuff.
New creature discovered.
Let's see. We're gonna need another lead. Now, what we're making here is a radiation suit. It's about as useful as you can think about it. I mean, it is a hazmat suit essentially. All right, 2 pieces of lead. Check. What else are we missing here? Oh, silicon. Okay, so oh yeah, 2 silicon. So yeah, what we're making is a radiation suit. If I haven't explained, if I somehow am doubling what I said earlier, this will allow us to protect ourselves from the radiation of the Aurora when it detonates. And now we're essentially safe, so we can go on to doing other survival stuff, which involves cooking this food. Okay, when it comes to survival, by the way, when it comes to eating, the only things you can really eat or do is cook them, unless you have decent amounts of salt. And I do not want to, and I want to pretty much exaggerate the fact that salt is your best friend if you want to keep yourself alive. As salt has two purposes. It has one, the ability to help you make med kits combined with coral, and also has the ability to, whatever the word I'm looking for is. It comes to me in a second. Yeah, it allows you to make bleach to make purified water, and also allows you to cure fish. This will allow you to, because in this game, there is a kind of time limit on how long food lasts. And the longer it stays uneaten, the longer it affects you. Now, one of the things you want to kind of hope you can find easily is the sea glide, which I am not finding for some reason. Either way, the sea glide, what it is a small tool that allows you to. Well, I mean, if you ever like went deep sea diving, a sea glide is essentially like a water bike or something. I don't know what it's officially called, but it's a small device that you hold on to with a propeller facing towards you, and you use it to glide through the ocean much faster. As you can think, this is very good, but I'm not sure if you actually start with being able to craft it in the beginning. Now, we're on our way to go exploring for another valley for more silver. The reason for this is because we need silver to build another device that requires it, computer chips. I'm trying to think. Apologize for this. With the silver, we can then use it to create ourselves we'll be able to create ourselves a builder, and this will allow us to, well, build. We're going to need it to build our base. Speak of the devil, there's a silver. You can find silver in the biome. It's just a little more risky than going to the red grass, because the red grass typically has it more often. But kind of word of thumb, if you're looking for certain materials, always look for the rock type. Sandstone or limestone will most commonly have copper and titanium, or in this case rutile, whatever you want to call it. Materials such sandstone rock will most of the time yield silver and sometimes gold. There's also other materials in deeper caves. I believe it's shale stone that will most of the time yield gold and lithium. There are other materials also in different biomes that can be obtained through rocks. There's also uranium you can ascertain. Obviously, when you think about it, uranium is very useful for fueling a base. And there is a nuclear reactor, but we need to be able to fabricate it first. Which we won't be able to do for a bit. Now, this episode is going to be kind of longer than the normal ones. This is just the first episode, and also on top of that, I'm going to be this is going to kind of end on the note of when the aurora goes boom. Alright, so here's what we can kind of all build. We can build a lot of stuff for base. But there are some things missing. First off, we're going to need more than just silver. We're going to need some opals to make a computer chip, so let's go grab a chunk of that. It's always going to be this type of coral that yields it too, purple table coral. There's also red varieties, and there's also a red type which you can find in different reef biomes. I think this is actually a different reef biome than normal. I think it might have a different seed now, finally. Because originally the world used to be always the same seed. If I'm kind of like mismatching my things here, there's a lot of other things that are to talk about, such as some of the creatures, such as the Reaper Leviathan. The Reaper Leviathan only shows up in the biomes nearby the aurora.
Readings from the aurora exhibit characteristics consistent with total degradation of the dark matter containment field. spikes in quantum fluctuations suggest an uncontrolled cascade detonation will occur with a probability of 83.5%.
Okay, so yeah, explosion time soon. But, as I was saying, the Reaper Leviathan is the most dangerous creature within the game. It is both the largest, actually no, second largest creature in the game. Maybe, I don't know. Either way, it is highly aggressive and carnivorous. Sporting 4 scythe-like talons, it can grab most small vessels. And also, due to how big its jaw is, it is able to swallow most small creatures whole, including humans. It is the most dangerous creature in the game. It can instant kill you if it catches you. It is not a good time to meet these things. You're pretty much going to have a bad day if you don't have the largest ship in the game, which is the Cyclops. Not only is it the largest sub in the game, it's the only thing the Reaper Leviathans can't turn into a chew toy. And trust me, Reaper Leviathans will turn things into chew toys. If you let them. They can push the Cyclops ship around, push it around like a ball, I guess, if you would, but they can't turn it into, say, a human in a can snack. Ah, there's a quartz. Okay, so, one thing I do want to warn you, though, is we will be going to meet this Reaper Leviathan eventually, but not until we... Oh, yeah, cubes. Not until we can get ourselves some decent material. Let's see. Let me just tell you, those things are nasty as can be, and they will not... They pretty much will endlessly chase you. I believe there are only 2 going around the Aurora, but even still, 2 is a massive threat when you think about it like that. Alright, that's the materials I need for that. Let's grab that battery. Alright, we have a builder now, yay. Now to use your builder, you simply equip it, right-click to activate your building menu, and things froze. Okay, there we go. Okay, when it comes to building things, you first need to place a foundation. Foundations are, well, foundations. You can build structures upon foundations, but it's more recommended you build them on... You can build structures anywhere, but you best build them on the foundations because it applies structural integrity. If you don't have any of that, then your base will then proceed to sink underwater, or pretend to fill with water. Originally, the terrain didn't sculpt to match the any interlocking stuff, so that's cool. Now, this episode is going to end in a second, I think, because of what the AI is saying about the condition of the Aurora. I just have this kind of gut feeling about it. But when we get to next time, we will continue this, and I will continue surviving and helping you through survival if you're not an expert in it. And we're short a piece. Where's the pod? Oh, right there. Now that we have at least a basic base up and running in a sec, we'll at least be able to... Okay, so now we have actually a room we can stand in. But you kind of want to plan ahead when building your base, because some of the things you'll need for survival is going to be based on how well you build your base and how big you want it. Now, our base is already showing that it's well suited to be lived in, but it's not done yet. We're still going to need 2 things. One thing is that we're going to need a hatch, and we're also going to need power. To power your base, you're going to need solar panels. And to, obviously, well, in the beginning, the only way to power your base is solar panels, but you can build reactors and other such too. Unfortunately, I'm lacking quartz, so we won't be able to build power yet. But at least we'll get inside the base so we can get some oxygen.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
And here we can construct fabricators and all sorts of other bits of equipment to ensure our survival is a little more longer. That and the pod won't last forever when it comes to our needs of crafting, because it is limited supply, but at least it's not... Well, its power is unlimited, it's just, it's not... It's semi-limited because of the fact that it doesn't charge the fastest in the world, and you're going to need the resources, you're going to need to basically build other things, and you can't build certain things within the pod itself. But now that we have a basic structure up and running, I think in the next episode we'll have a functioning base, hopefully. Also, if you want to, you can exit the top of the life pod and get onto the top roof. I typically just like coming in through the bottom because it's faster. But
Emergency.
Yeah.
Readings from the Aurora show severe instability in the primary drive core. The central dark matter reactor will reach a supercritical state in T-minus.
Well, I guess this is the end of the episode, guys.
9,
Have fun
8,
if you
7,
decide to play along.
6.
Like and
5,
subscribe, leave a comment, anything like that. And I'll see you next time. Also, we look at explosions here.